Welcome students to the class of Pricing and Product Decisions. This is your faculty, Dr. Shweta Srivastava, Associate Professor, School of Management, BBDO University. So students, hope you all are doing fine at your homes. Students, in the previous lectures, we have studied about the basic concepts of break-even analysis, the limitations of BEP analysis, and how this BEP analysis, or to say cost, volume, and profit analysis, is useful in short-term decision making. I have also explained you the various decision making situations, right? How to evaluate various proposals, how to judge when to continue a product or discontinue a product. So in this lecture, I'll be taking up the concept of when to continue a product and when to discontinue. I'll be taking a few more decision making situations in the upcoming lectures. So students, just move ahead. Now, as I told you in the previous lecture also that there are very few companies who are working with single product, because they have understood that the basic rule of finance is do not put all the bags in one basket, right? So see what happens when a company dwells with single product, the risk is very high. So just to you can say it is the internal hedging process that generally the companies are working with a multi-product scenario. We can say multi-product mix. So in such cases, sometimes what happens that all the products do not give same kind of revenue or profit. So the organization needs to decide whether to continue a product or discontinue it, because the lost revenue or the losses will eventually impact the overall profitability of the organization. So in this also we use the basic concepts of CVP analysis, right? So let us understand how it goes. Now, see students, I'm trying to explain every concept of CVP analysis by with the help of an example, right? So I'm taking another example to explain this phenomena also. So why PLC makes and sells 4 products? The profit and loss statement for April is as follows, right? So this company has 4 product lines in the name of W, X, Y, and Z. But we can see that this product range W, X, and Y is giving profit, but the product range Z is giving you loss. So you can say that the total profit is reduced by 35,000. Right? So that is why the organization has come up with the situation whether to continue this product line Z or not. Right? So sorry. So we can now analyze the various situations within the company, right? So sales is 30,000 for 30,000 pound for W, 20,000 pound for X, Y to 35,000, and for Z it is 15,000. Now the cost of sales is 16,000, 8,000, 22,000 and 10,000, which will give you a total of 56,000. Now coming to gross profit. So the same way gross profit goes on: 14,000 pounds, 12,000 pounds, 13,000 pounds, 5,000 pounds, and in total that is 44,000, right? So overhead cost. Now these are the cost, specific cost, right? But now these are the you can say the administrative and selling costs are calculated after gross profit. So selling and administrative expenses are 8,000 and 2,000, 7,000, 2,000, and such goes like that. So after giving proper calculations, we will come up with the figures that W, X, and Y are giving profits of 4,000 pounds, 3,000 pounds, and 2,500 pounds respectively. But the product line Z is giving a loss of pound 3,500, right? So that will actually impact your overall profitability. The total profit will be reduced by the same amount. So now the management team is concerned about the results, particularly those of Z. And it has been suggested that YPLC Public Limited Company would be better off if it ceased production of product Z. because you can see that this product line is giving losses. So the production manager has said that if product Z were discontinued, what will happen? See, we have to consider the cost and the other non-financial factors associated with that, right? So if you are discontinuing the Z line, product line, what will happen? The entire resources can be shifted to product line Y. But what will happen? By utilizing the resources given by product line Z, the product Y will increase by 40%, right? This is given in this question, Y by 40%, right? Now we have to analyze further cost structure. So variable cost is composed of, in this cost of sales, this is further fragmentation. So variable cost for W is pound 4800, for X pound 1600, pound Y 13,200, and for Z it is pound 5000, right? Now these are your various fixed cost, right? See, we have to understand these are a specific or fixed cost and variable cost. It means they can be particularly assigned to product X, to product W, and product Y, and product Z, right? So these are a specific or attributable cost, right? Because they can be easily identified with these different product lines. So you have to understand that these things will not impact your decision much. Now let us understand the question further. Now the question says that there is a total fixed cost figure includes 20,000 which is not specific to any product, right? And which has been apportioned to each product on the basis of sales value. If the quantity of any product increases by more than 25%, then the specific fixed cost of product will increase by 30%. We have seen in the question that if we are diverting the resources used by Z to Y, what will happen? Its production will increase by 40%. So here you will find the impact of production rise. So what will happen? The fixed cost of Y will increase by how many percentage? 30%, right? Now, the selling overhead comprises of a fixed cost of 5,000 per product plus a variable cost which varies in proportion to sales value. So we have seen that in total cost figure we have 20,000 and again a variable component which varies in proportion to sales value. The fixed cost is not specific to any product, but the sales director believes that it should be shared equally by the 4 products, right? So this you have to keep in mind. The administration cost is central overhead. It is not affected by the products made, right? So this is the question that you have to understand. Right now we'll move ahead and I'll be explaining the question at the time of solution also. Now, what you are required to do? First of all, we have to find out. It means you are supposed to prepare a statement where you can take, which can facilitate your decision making. See, students, why what is the purpose of studying these types of phenomena like CVP analysis, linear programming, and all? See, these phenomena are used to analyze the profitability of a product or a product line or a service, right? But one thing we have to understand that it is not the frontline managers who are taking the decisions. In fact, it is the management who is taking the decision. But since management is always running short of time, the reports or the formats which are created should be suitable for decision making. So if you present the situation in such a way, the management will need so much of time to understand the situation. So that will affect their valuable time. So this is what we mean by management by exception. So in the first option, you have to prepare the statement in such a way that the problem areas can be exceptionally focused, and so that it can facilitate the speedy and suitable decision making by the management, right? So that is what we have to do in the first option. Now, in the second option, what you are supposed to do, we have to prepare a statement where the product Z is discontinued and the number of units by which the production of Y is increased, right? And what are the changes in the entire, you can say, profit statement, right? So in the second option, you have to reconcile the profit calculated in A when you are continuing with the entire product line W, X, Y, Z, and in the second situation when Z is discontinued. In the last option, you have to find out what can be or what may be the non-financial factors which would be considered before discontinuing a product, right? So let us move ahead with the solution. Now, this is your profit statement, right? So we have to keep every part of the question in our mind. Otherwise, we'll refer to the question once again. Now the profit statement is variable. Now sales, it is given here. It does not require any kind of explanation. Now variable cost of sales is 4,800, 1,600, 1,300, 5,000. That is given in the question. I am just telling you once again. Now, right, yeah, this is what we are considering as variable cost here, right? So it still does not require any kind of explanation. Now variable selling overhead, right? Now this is the calculation given over here. See, variable selling overhead, right? So now it is given here that variable selling overhead is divided on the basis of, it is given in the question, students, that here like yes, the variable selling heads will be divided on the basis of sales value, right? Yes. The selling overhead comprises of fixed cost 5 per product plus a variable cost which varies in proportion to sales value, right? So we have divided the variable cost in the percentage of sales, right? So this is how it is calculated, right? So this will be on the basis of your sales value 3,000, 2,000, 3,500, and this is on the divided in the ratio of 3:2:3.5:1.5, right? So this is how we can calculate the contribution, because total of variable cost will be deducted from the sales value and will get the product wise contribution. Now a specific fixed cost, it is already given in the question, right? We have calculated it here also. See, total fixed cost were 11,200, 6,400. This is given in the question, right? Let us look at the question once again. Yes, see, here fixed costs are already given, right? 11, that is what we have written in the question, in the solution, right? This is here, right? Now, non-specific fixed cost. Again, you have to divide 20,000 a portion on the basis of sales value, right? So, this is what we have done right now, right? So, this is the calculation of 20,000, right? This is written here. And now again on the same basis, specific fixed costs are given, non-specific fixed costs are here, and specific fixed costs are here, right? So basically what we are doing, we are actually allocating our fixed expenses on the base, again on the the total fixed cost has two components. One is specific, another is non-specific, right? So specific, it is already given 11,200, 6,400, this is what, right? And what we are doing, we are again, the total fixed cost per product was 20,000. So since this was the you can say specific, so I am doing one thing, this is just the balancing figure out of 20,000. We know that every product has 20,000 of fixed cost, right? So out of the 20,000, this 11,200 is specific, and non-specific fixed cost is divided in the proportion of again the sales value, right? So this is what I have written here, right? So after calculating contribution, what we are supposed to do, we have to deduct the specific fixed cost, right? This is the balancing figure which we get from the 20,000, right? So this is what I have written here. Now net benefit will be 17,000 pounds for product line W, 14,000 pounds for the product X, for Y 16,500, and for product Z it is 6,500. Now this will give you total profit net benefit of pound 54,000. Now what we are supposed to do? So till now we have considered all the specific cost, right? Now let's come to non-specific cost. So non-specific cost of sales is 20,000, that is given in the question. Fixed selling expenses again 20,000, it is given in the question. Administrative costs are 8,000, it is already given in the question, right? So net profit comes out as 6,000, right? See, these two things are already given in the question. I am telling you once again. Now, this is here. The total cost figures include 20,000, which is not specific, right? So this is what is written here, right? Selling overhead comprises of a fixed cost of 5,000 per product, that is again 20,000, 5,000 into 4, right? So these two figures will come here. Fixed selling overhead 5,000 per product, 20,000. Fixed cost of sales 20,000. So this is what is written here, right? So after deducting all such quantities from pound 54,000, we'll get a net profit of pound 6,000, right? See, this is the profit statement when we are producing all the product lines W, X, Y and Z, right? So you are seeing the impact on the profit. This is only pound 54,000, right? So this is your option A. Now let's move to option B. When we are discontinuing the product Z and the entire resources will be diverted to product Y. Now, contribution for 40% additional sales of Y, that will be pound 18,400 into 0.4. See how we are calculating. See here we can see that the contribution given by Y is 18,300 and it is given in the question that if you discontinue Z and will divert your resource to Y, the benefit, it is written here, the product will give you a rise of 40%, right? So that is what is written here. So contribution this is the incremental value when we are diverting the resources to product line Y, that will give you pound 7320. Additional specific cost, as it is told that it will be 18,000 into 30% of cost will rise. Now where will this 1800 come from? This is specific fixed cost. It is given here in the question once again. Yes. If the quantity of any product increases by more than 25%, then the specific fixed production cost of product will rise by 30%, right? So this is what I have calculated here. The specific fixed cost by 1800, again given in the calculation this figure, and 1800 multiplied by 0.3, that will give you pound 540. Loss of net benefit from Z, this is the lost contribution. This is the lost contribution because we are discontinuing with this Z line. So this is basically the opportunity cost of discontinuing the product line Z, because we are no more getting this benefit. Now see, this is what I have done here. So net gain will be only pound 280, right? Now we have to reconcile the profit now. Existing profit 6,000 pounds, discontinuation of Z will will be reducing your contribution again. Additional contribution from Y 7320, additional specific cost pound 540. So you can say the profit, if profit Z is discontinued and sales of Y substituted, we will get a total profit of pound 6,280. You can easily make out from here also, because see, this is the net profit and the incremental benefit after discontinuing product line Z and continuing with Y, additional 40% of Y, you will get incremental benefit of pound 280. So that will be eventually added here and you will get the total figure of pound 6,280. Right? See, you can see that incremental gain is not significant and any error in the estimates could mean the wrong decision is taken. So although we have done the full exercise, but see, you have to look at that figure. Are you finding any substantial increase? So I'm moving to the question once again. Apparently what you will see that this product is giving you a heavy loss of pound 3,500. But see, if the company discontinues this product, what will you gain? The gain is very less. It only just a pound 280. So this is what we call decision making, because the situations may appear to you something else, and when you take a proper proper analysis, proper dissection, you will get a different picture. So that is what we mean by right decision making. because you have to dissect the figures, you have to finally delve into the figures so that you can come out with the right decision. So apparently you may have felt that there is no point in continuing the product line Z, but if you discontinue, the benefit is so less that hardly matters you are getting loss from product Z or not, right? Moreover, there are certain non-financial factors also which should be considered, like possible redundancies among the workforce. It means the workforce which was utilized in production of Z now be redundant, so the labor may suffer layoffs. That will give a wrong word of mouth publicity to the company that the layoffs are happening in the company. It means the company is running into losses, something like that. Signals which it may give to competitors who may perceive the company as being unwilling to support its product. It means sometimes discontinuation of a product line will give a signal to the competitors that yes, the company is not having sufficient revenue to support its entire product line. That is why they are closing it. That is why they are closing particularly that product line. See, what happens in the marketing scenario if a company faces with the products which are not so much not fast moving, so generally the companies adopt strategies of product bundling and something like that. So instead of discontinuing a product, this is a very far off decision, right? This is the extreme decision which the company may take, right? So, and we have seen with this resultant also that the gain is very less if we discontinue a product, right? So we should not give a wrong signal to the competitors that yes, the company does not have that much of revenue in buffer to absorb the loss given by some of the product line. Next, the reaction of customers who have chosen to buy that product line Z. So again, you will be playing with the trust of the persons who have bought the product line Z, right? So these are the non-financial factors which you have to consider while discontinuing a product line, right? So students, I hope you have understood that why this decision making is so critical, because apparently the situation appears to be different, and when you ultimately do the calculation, the situation will give you a entirely a different picture, right? This is what we mean by right decision making. Okay, so let us move to another decision making situation: accept or reject an order. See students, I've been continuously telling you that CVP analysis, and while discussing with you the relevancy of cost and revenue, I have focused on incremental benefits and incremental cost, right? See, in all the situations, what we are considering to find, we are trying to find out what is the incremental benefit and what are the incremental cost, right? So that is why we don't take into consideration the value of fixed cost. That is the focus of CVP analysis also, that the management generally focuses on variable cost, right? So this is one another situation where you have to consider the incremental cost and incremental benefit so as to find out whether to accept or reject the order. Now, a company manufactures two models of pocket calculator, right? The basic model of sells for £5 and at a scientific and has a direct material cost of £1.25, requires 0.25 hours of labor time to produce. The other model, the scientist, it means the company again has two models. One is the basic model, another is scientist model. Which sells for £7.50, has a direct material cost of £1.63 and takes 0.375 hours to produce. The labor is paid at the rate of £6 per hour. This is your labor cost. So here it is given that labor is your limiting factor, because the company's demand for calculator is very high. The company is currently producing 8,000 units of basic model and 4,000 units of scientist models per month, with a fixed cost of £24,000 per month, right? And now this is the order which is received by the company. When you receive a order from, you can say a different type of order, you have to see what costs are associated with this order and what extra benefits you will get. It means we have to calculate the incremental contribution, and plus you have to find out the additional cost, right? Now let us see what the order expects and what way the company is assumed to incur. An overseas customer has offered a company on contract of worth pound 34,000 5,000 for a number of calculators made to its requirements. It means that the calculators are customized. The estimating demand department has ascertained the following facts in respect of the work. The labor time for the contract would be 1200 hours, right? The material cost will be pound 9,000 plus the cost of a particular component not normally used in the company's models. It means this is the extra cost which would be incurred by in the name of material, which would be incurred by the company. These components could be purchased from a supplier for pound 2,500, or alternatively they could be made internally for a material cost of pound 1,000 and an additional labor time of 150 hours, right? Now we have to advise the management whether this order from overseas customer is worth accepting or not. Now again we have to consider not the total cost or total benefit. Rather we have to consider the incremental cost and incremental benefit. Now, as we have understood that labor is the limiting factor. The decision on whether to make or buy the component has to be made before it can be decided whether or not to accept the contract. See, it has two decision making situation. One is make or buy, another is accept or reject. So first of all, make or buy situation will come when we accept the proposition or the proposal. In order to do is also, see, we are calculating the contribution, right? So normal products, what we are doing, first of all, we are trying to find out the contribution per labor hour for normal production must first be calculated, as the contract will replace some normal production. See students, in the previous lecture when we have discussed about the single limiting factor, I told you that we decide on the basis of contribution per limiting factor, right? Since here labor is the limiting factor, we have to calculate contribution per labor hour. This is your limiting factor, right? So selling price is 5 for basic, scientist for pound 7.5. So this is all the costing. This is 1.5. Now you must be surprised how it has come as 1.5. See students, cost of labor is pound 6 per hour, and this basic model requires how many hours? 0.25. So 0.25 multiplied by 6 will give you 1.25. Similarly, this scientist needs 0.375 hours, and again it will multiply it by 6. So we'll get the figures here. So 1.5 will come here, and 2.25 will come here, right? So contribution will be 2.75 in case of basic model, and in case of scientist it is 3.88. Now contribution per labor hour per unit of limiting factor, right? So how much limiting factor is utilized by this basic unit? This is 1.5, right? So it will give you 0.025 is used per unit. So 2.25 divided by 0.25 here, and 3.62 divided by 0.375 here. So it will give you resultant contribution per direct labor hour as pound 9 in case of basic, and pound 9.65 in case of scientist. Right students, I hope you have understood what I have done. Right, we are calculating the contribution per unit of limiting factor. Right, so what is limiting factor here? Labor. So when we calculate quantity of labor, it is generally in the name of hours. How many hours labor hours are available, right? So here the unit will be labor hour. So 0.25 labor hours are used in the production of 1 unit of basic model. 0.375 hours are used in the production of 1 unit of scientist. So that is what I have done here. Now, the company is to make the component, it would be better to reduce production of the basic model in order to accommodate the special order, because see, we are seeing that since labor is the limiting factor, scientist is giving you higher contribution per unit of limiting factor, that is 9.65. So if the company is contemplating to accept the new order, what it should renunciate? It should renunciate the production of basic model because it is giving you lesser contribution per direct labor hour, right? Now the company should now compare the cost of making or buying the component. An opportunity cost arises due to the lost contribution on the basic model. Now again, we have to consider the opportunity cost because you are producing that particular order at the cost of the basic model, right? That, so eventually that will be your basic, that will be your opportunity cost. Now you need for that special contract, what do you need? You need a material of pound 1000, it is given in the question. Labor hours 150, labor hours extra multiplied by the per labor hour rate will give you pound 900. Opportunity cost 150 hours are being will be diverted to which product? To this special contract. So that we will be taking out from the production of basic model. So basic model gives you contribution per direct labor hour of pound 9. So that is our opportunity cost. So that is what I have written here. That is will give you pound 1350. So total in total, what is the you can say total cost will be pound 3250, right? Since this is higher than the bottom price of pound 2500, the company would be advised to buy the component from the supplier if they accept the contract, right? See, you can see here the special component which is used in the special contract will need you can a component. See, this is costing to pound 2500. So now, first of all, what we have decided that yes, we can accept the special contract. Now we have to decide whether to make or buy. So when we are making, the cost is coming to pound 3250, right? But now the bought out price will be pound 2500. So it's better to buy the product or outsource the product, that particular component from the outside, right? So now the contract will be evaluated. Sales revenue will give you pound 35,000, that will be the costing of the contract. Material cost 9,000, component 2,500. It is because that is what we are buying from outside. Labor hours pound 6 multiplied by 1200. This is given in the question, students. Yes, this is given here, right? So this is labor hour. So in total, the total cost will come to pound 18,700. Will be deducting it from the revenue and will be getting the contribution. That is 16,300. Now we have to calculate contribution per direct labor hour. Again, we'll be dividing it by the same percentage. So we'll be getting the result as pound 13.58. Right, students? So you can see that the both our basic and scientist models are giving you what? 9 and 9.65 as contribution per direct labor hour, right? But what will be needed by by this special contract? The special contract is giving you how much result? This is pound 13.58. So in all the cases, you are getting contribution more than your general production of basic model or scientist model. So since the contribution is higher than either of the existing products, the company should accept the contracts, assuming this would not prejudice the market for existing products, as the customer overseas seems the reasonable assumption. So we can see that what we have done, we have compared all the cost associated with the contract, and then we have compared it with the existing product lines, right? So you have seen that this special contract is giving you much high incremental contribution in comparison to these existing production of basic and scientist, right? So students, I hope you have understand the situations. So in the next decision making situation would be whether to close a department or not, right? Sometimes the company contemplates to close a department or a factory, right? So in that case, we have to consider, see, the question will move on, the situation will move on, your decision making criteria will be same. We will be considering your incremental cost and what will be the opportunity cost, what will be your incremental benefits in closing down, what savings will you incur. But see students, you have to see that we while discussing with you the relevancy of cost, I have explained you the some types of costs which are known as avoidable and unavoidable cost. So avoidable costs are those costs which can be avoided by taking a particular decision, right? Like I am saying that if I close down a factory, the electricity cost will be an avoidable cost, right? But what will happen to the rent? Because generally rent is taken on per year agreement basis, right? So it means if you want to vacate that particular particular physical space, you need to give a prior notice of say 3 months or 2 months, whatever is there in your rent agreement, right? So for a period of 2 months, that cost of rent will be your unavoidable cost, right? So while taking a decision whether to close a department or factory, we have to take into consideration what costs are unavoidable and what costs are unavoidable are avoidable. So students, generally sometimes in the labor also we have redundancy clause, like whether we continue with that product line or not, you will not be asked to leave the company premise or the factory premise, right? It means we are hiring the labor irrespective of the production of a particular product line, right? So these are the redundancy clauses given in the your labor agreement. So such types of cost, labor cost, are basically unavoidable, right? So students, while taking a decision regarding closure of a factory or a department, we have to take into consideration all the unavoidable and avoidable cost. uh, Generally students, in the short term the costs are not avoidable because of certain agreements and certain arrangements, legal arrangements, but in the long run all the costs are avoidable. So students, this is all for this lecture. We'll come up with the further topics related to CVP analysis, further decision making situations, the sensitivity analysis, and multi-product break-even analysis in the further lecture. So students, thank you for this.